We'll move on to GS-4 now. GS-4 appears to be a bit different, and yes, it is different. It is not the usual editorial kind of history, geography kind of a subject which you can connect what is happening in polity with economy there. No. It is different, and I did not know, but it is scoring. Out of all my GS papers, I scored the highest in GS-4, which I was underconfident about. But then when I went through what I had done and how I was able to score, I realized that that there are two parts of GS-4. Yes, the first is the A part, which we have theoretical aspects, we have concepts, we have ethical values, we have terms and terminologies and key terms, we have quotations, yes. And in the second part of the GS-4, we have case studies. So case studies also, we'll talk about case studies, but before that, how do you prepare for this subject? You first read the entire syllabus. You first find out what are the different key terms that are mentioned in the syllabus, and then you make your own set of whatever things, notes, whatever you find on that particular topic, on that particular key term.
I would like to say GS4, most of you must have noticed there is no set textbook or source which you can say this is the book. So you don't have any such book for GS4. When it comes to ethics, so there is lexicon which everybody will buy and nobody will read. So this is...
We'll read it, but we'll not complete it.
We'll not complete it because it is very factual and very theoretical.
Very in-depth.
Not everybody will understand it in a very easy manner. And there are other books which has just focused on examples and not on theory part. So there is no one particular book which will give you everything. Not like there is no book like Lakshmikant or Ramesh Singh or Spectrum or Shankar IAS or this kind of a book. This makes it difficult. As she was saying, so here you should be able to make your own notes. Pick up a topic. It might be a word called integrity. Make your own definition. Read so many, there are so many sources. You just Google, there are so many definitions you will come up with. Understand it. So then make your own definition of it. Make your own examples of it. And try to take up some quote regarding that and note down that. So I say make your own notes for each and every individual topic. I think this is what we have done also.
This is the starting point of the preparation for GS4. You have objectivity. Now, what is objectivity? How is it different from non-partisanship? What is emotional intelligence? What are the different concepts of emotional intelligence? What is work culture? How is integrity different from honesty? So, these are the kind of questions you'll find, and for that, you need to understand that particular concept very properly. And ethics is not just about those concepts, it is about the real life application of that concept or some example which you can find of that particular concept. Because we are not going to, it's not a theoretical paper. Basically, GS4 has come very recently in the entire UPSC pattern. And what it wants you to do is it needs to have you a mental framework. So when you go on field to work, you have those ethical concepts in your head which should guide you for your day-to-day decisions. So GS4 is more about the practical life which you will be going to face and what mental framework you need to have on that. So you start by making some notes of the ethical concepts that you can do for the first part of the paper. Another thing which is asked in this is the quotations. So we get confused, how do you elaborate the quotations? For that, one and only one word, practice. Take up a quotation, anything. Start from the quotation of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Because every year you're going to have a question on Mahatma Gandhi ji. Every year going to have a quotation somewhere in essay paper, somewhere in GS1 or 4. Take up some quotation. Just think what are the different dimensions that are coming to your head in that. Just see how you can connect some real life example to what he is talking in that particular subject. Can you give some example of an officer? Can you give some real life example which you have seen, some social media thing you would have seen? Can you quote it in your answer? Can you connect something which you saw in some movie, some poem you read, some philosopher's life you read? So you need to connect that example part of it, the real life example part of it, to the theoretical concept which you are reading, right? And when it comes to case study, so case study, there are different questions which we have in case study. Sir also gave me a list of those. So I'll try to address that. How do you begin answering a case study? What is a case study exactly? It is a real life situation. Yes? So they'll tell you that you are, say, a district collector, or you are, say, a police officer, you are a doctor, you are a teacher, you are a something like that. And you will be put in a situation. You will be given that, this and all these things are happening. What will be your decision? What will be the different aspects, different dilemmas that you will face in that particular situation? And you need to give your own answer. That is all. That is case study. So I always say that you can first start with identifying the stakeholders. What do you mean by stakeholders in a case study? Those people who are taking the decisions, those people who will be impacted by that decision. Anybody who is directly or indirectly party to that particular case, they become your stakeholder. Is that correct? So I will be also discussing at flagged one case study from the book. This you will find in the chapter Q&A analysis. I'll read out the case study to you and we'll sort of try to solve it together. Is that okay? Yes. So the question goes like this. You are an officer in charge of transfer and posting of personnel of a particular department. What are you? In charge of transfer and posting. This position is very difficult, mainly for two reasons. One, people closer to the power corridor try to influence you. Now try to identify the key term in this statement. People closer to the power corridor try to influence you. Can you tell me the key word here? Power corridor and influence. Got it? Women officers often send requests to postpone transfer orders on the pretext of family responsibilities. I'll read it again. Women officers often send requests to postpone transfers orders on the pretext of family responsibility. What is the key term here? What is to catch here? Women officers and family responsibilities. And requests. Requests. Final sentence of this question is, consider the following situations and give your views with suitable explanations. Now there are three parts of the question. A cabinet minister sends a DO letter. Do you understand a DO letter? DO means a demi-official letter. Demi-official is basically they will address with their own hands. They'll write dear.
You might have seen Prime Minister writing letters to so many people. You social media nodirtira. So he will like dear dash dash or respected dash dash. Then few
Like
paragraph.
recently,
Then end mein his sign. So those are DO letters.
Yeah.
They are not official communication, but they are kind of a personal communication between two official people.
Yeah. So cabinet minister sends a DO letter to you regarding posting of an official on a supposedly lucrative assignment. So before I read the option, the part that we had read, can you identify the stakeholders there? Tell me. The first stakeholder, officer in charge of transfer and posting. Anybody else you find? Anybody? Women officer. Anything else? Family of women officers. No, I'm just considering that one paragraph that we read first. Options we'll see later. So in the opening part of this case study, what you can do is, you can just write the role. You can do some role analysis of that post. So let's do some role analysis. So I'm in charge of transfer and posting. What I will be expected to do? What am I expected to do? Just think rationally. You are made a person who's in charge of the transfer and posting in your state. What should be the things that should be guiding you? What is the expectation of that post? Transparency. You should be able to post the best officer at the best place. Yes? You are like the HR manager. You are basically posting people where they are required. Everybody has different skill sets. You are seeing that if this particular region, you want a woman officer to be posted over here, or you want some particular person who is very good in that particular area and it has some issues of water conservation. Let's post this person because he has some previous experience. So these are kind of theoretical aspects of that particular post. You can start with that the main important stakeholder in this is the person who's in charge of the transfers and posting, and he or she will be expected to this. Now, one thing which you should really remember in case study is you need to go back and refer to the ethical concepts. You cannot keep it just like a story. You cannot keep it like an anecdote. So when you told transparency, yes. When you told all of that words that were there in our syllabus, those words should be coming in our case study. So it shows that this person is aware how to connect the real life situation with the ethical concept that he or she has studied. Getting the point? So we opened up like that. So I'll just write down what I had written here. Being a civil servant, adherence to public service values of impartiality, integrity, transparency, as well as efficient duty is of paramount importance. Since this posting makes one vulnerable to pressure, careful analysis and objective decisions can ensure effective discharge of duty. So you will find that this sentence is a lot of wrapped up in keywords. What I have done is I have picked up all the keywords, whatever is relevant to this situation. I've picked up transparency, I've picked up objectivity, I've picked up effective discharge of duty. So this shows that I'm aware what subject of paper I'm writing, and then I'm telling you what this particular person will do in that, or what the stakeholder role analysis is. Now let us see the question. A cabinet minister sends a DO letter to you regarding posting of an official on a supposedly lucrative assignment, for which you may have already decided about the name of a more competent officer and with a good track record for honesty, integrity, probity, and timely delivery. What will you do? You understood the situation? There is a cabinet minister. So the keyword is cabinet minister. Cabinet minister has his own hierarchical importance. That person has sent you a DO letter for a lucrative assignment for some person for which you've already decided a name. And the person which you have decided the name of is a person who is honest and integrity and everything. What will you do? So can you develop some options for it? Can you tell me how will you go about by it? Anyone can just stand up. Anything.
Mains going people.
Anything. Whatever that hits your head.
So this requires listening to the consigns, and he must try to balance between the listening to his higher-ups. We must examine the pros and cons of both. Listening to the higher-ups in the hierarchical rank, and also without compromising on the post, whatever he is posting.
Yes.
So we must include, from the syllabus, we must include the persuasive capacity of the, we must try to persuade the cabinet minister based on logical arguments and the positive points it brings with the posting of the person who has decided.
That could be one option, yes. But when you find a request of some person and you're getting it from a cabinet minister, I'm not sure if we are in a negotiating position or in a position where we give some arguments. But you are responsible for your own thing. You are the person whose signature is going to be there in that order. So while we are given that charge, what you should best do, you should think about who is the best person to be there in that post. And what I would suggest, which I have suggested in the book, is in this scenario, the minister is trying to make a kind of an undue influence by his authority and proposing a name without any objective criteria. That maybe the person is also competent, the one he or she is proposing. But you have already decided a person who is honest, who has integrity, and who is competent with a good track record. So what you can do is, in these kind of questions, you can develop your options. Like one option is that. Another option is what I'm telling you. And another thing, you should think for yourself what you think. Whatever you write in there, that should be without compromising on all those ethical concepts which you have studied in your first part of the paper. So there is no complete black and white in the ethics paper. But it is very important to hold on to the ethical values and to the values that particular post wants you to uphold. If you are a police officer and you have to decide, it wants you to uphold the values of the police officer. If you are a district collector, it wants to uphold that. So you have to first stick to the position. That is why we do the role analysis. Because we first delineate that, this is his role. This is his or her role. And then we try to give the options. Fine? Got a kind of a picture? Anything which you would like to ask on this? we'll go to the
Ma'am, whether all such options should be optimistic and way forward looking, or can I give extreme options also, like accepting cabinet minister's advice?
Yes. This is a very good question. What I used to do when I used to develop options, I used to start with the worst option, which I will not select. But I will tell that I am aware of this option. So in this particular question, you can start by giving that this is one option. You can move on to second, third. You can develop such 3 options, and then at the end you can say I am going to select the third option, which is holding on the values of the post. Right?
Generally, these kind of questions, they would have written, what are the options do you have? So then you should be able to write all the options. Even if it is the worst possible option, you should be right what and all options you will have. So they will ask you, what are the options? What options do you have in this kind of situation, and what will you choose? Or they might directly ask you, what will you choose? Then you should not go on listing this and all. So if they have directly asked you what you should choose, then you should directly write the answer. But generally they will ask you, what are the options does the officer have? So what does he or she should do in that option? So they will delineate and ask. So that will be there in the question.
Right? So, and always try to connect some theory that you've written. There are a lot of theories, utilitarianism. Yeah, utilitarianism. Then you have ends versus means debate, whether ends are important or means are important. So if you can connect that particular concept in a case study, it will be really good.
Quick question. And also when it comes to ethics, time management becomes very important. So this is one paper in GS where there is a lot to write, but you will, so many people will end up missing out on few questions, because there are 2 parts. Part A is quotes and this kind of a thing. Second part is case studies. Part A will have 130 marks. Part B will have 120 marks, if I'm not wrong. So part B will have 6 questions. Part A will have 13 questions. Okay? So it is 130 and 120. What I would suggest is divide it according to the marks. You cannot divide it like case study I will write for 1.5 hours, and another 1.5 hours I'll write the part A. Here, like you are giving half of your time to 45% of your marks. So then you'll have to write the other 55% in another half time. So don't do like this. Give it time according to marks. So it should be like 3 hours is 180 minutes, and how much marks? 250.
250, yes.
So it should be 7 minutes for 10 marks, kind of a thing.
Generally, it comes down to that. 10 markers require 7 minutes, 15 markers require 11 minutes, 20 markers require 14 minutes.
That's all.
So this could be the
that should
thing
be
for you.
You should have your watch there. So you should be looking at the watch after every question. Somewhere you will go beyond 1 or 2 minutes beyond for a particular question.
But you should not overshoot beyond that. Because if you're taking up more question to answer a question that you know, then you're taking away time from other questions which you may also attempt and know. So do not take more time for answering that question. Yeah.
Hi, sir. Hi, ma'am. So, for example, there is a sentence, abortion is legal but unethical.
Yeah.
So, when we look at the unethical part, it is related to religious values that we cannot kill a person. And when we look at the law part, abortion is legal because it's the right of a woman to terminate her pregnancy or not. So there is a conflicting interest between both these points. So in such questions, what should be the answer? What should be our answer about?
See, in these kind of topics, it's always controversial. So both side of arguments has their own positives and negatives. So you'll always have to balance it out. You'll have to come to the middle path. So you should support both the arguments, and also you should also list out the negatives of both the arguments. For example, if you come to the legal perspective, so you can mention that abortion is legal till it is 20 weeks of pregnancy. So generally medical what it happens after 20 weeks, we say that the child is viable, right? If the right term. Now they have increased, but 28, maybe, whatever it is. So.
But sir, after 24 weeks also, we can terminate the pregnancy if the fetus has any abnormalities.
If the Supreme Court permits it, right?
That is, there are different, abortion ke liye there are 5 different reasons under which you can abort a baby. So usme this, as you told, malformity of a baby. So it comes under a particular, this one, legal provision only. So it is legally this one because even if the child is born, so it will be
The quality of life of the child cannot be ensured.
cannot be assured, and
Then-
also if it affects the health of the mother, that's also a thing.
Yes.
So even if the child, if it affects the health of the mother
And you know, this
adversely.
is a debate which is definitely very, very relevant because of the recent laws that are passed in the United States. So that definitely has an implication. Please go back. The very current kind of developments in the abortion laws is not something which we are very much aware of. But I will suggest that you go back and read what is there in the US, what is there in the country, what are the different debates. See, in the ethics paper, more than reaching to a final conclusion of an ethical standpoint, it is important to recognize the dilemmas that are involved. If you do that in the major part of the question, it shows that this person is aware of what all viewpoints he or she needs to keep in his head while deciding. So the end point, you don't have to say that, you know, it's good that this abortion law is banned in US or it is bad. You don't have to give a conclusion always. You should, more important is you bring out the different dilemmas that are there. The word in the UPSC syllabus is ethical dilemmas. So it's important to bring out that, how the health of the mother can be affected or how the quality of life of the child is affected, you know, something like that. So these kind of ethical situations you should come out with. It's not hard and fast to weigh in on one side of the topic. That's it.
You should balance it out, come to the, even if you take some stand, you should also list out the positives of the other stand also as well. So you can take any stand. It's
As
your
we told,
individual.
it's more important to recognize the
Recognize.
dilemmas. Okay.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to the final part, which is the writing answers part. We were stressing.
Hello,
so,
sir.
Yeah.
Here.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಧಾನ.
Okay, sir. ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ.
Ah.
Means we should always support the government, or we should support our points here.
Yeah.
Means in the previous case study, right? We already have our choice, but cabinet minister is suggesting something. So there are two choices, right? If we support the government, it's our incompetence. If we support ourselves, we are against government. So anyhow, there is a dilemma, but we
The
have to come to the
question-
conclusion, right?
Yeah. The question that you're asking is very relevant.
Indeed, daily, day to day.
Do we support the government in our answers? And I would like to answer it for all the papers. There'll be a lot of questions where there'll be some kind of a scheme, anything which is there in the news, and you will be expected to either support or critique it.
Critically analyze. They will
Please
critically-
understand, when we are writing a paper, it's not like we are standing in the shoes of a journalist or an activist. Ultimately, we are writing the paper to be a bureaucrat. And the simple meaning of that is, it's not like you have to blindly support the government. You can bring out the critical aspects of the government policy. But when I say critical, it should be a constructive criticism. It should, while she was asking, do we have to give some optimistic point out? Yes. If you can say that this policy has these loopholes, these are some of the downsides of this policy, please tell how you can correct it. As a government officer, it will not be black and white for you, right? You are going to implement the policy. You know that some people are not getting the good benefit. What you can do best for the people? How you can bring out, so you know that government has limited resources, limited people, limited funds. How do you manage in that? So if you are giving some critique, please also give some way out for it. Try to think that if I am given this kind of resource, this kind of limited thing, how I will manage in that situation. So yes, you can give a criticism of the policy, you can, but it should be constructive, is what I feel.
Thanks, ma'am.
So then, yeah.
Anything regarding
Just use the mic, yeah.
drawing the reference from any mythological stories, wasn't that like picturize our answers affiliated to some particular ideologies? That's like,
See, there is nothing like wrong ideology or wrong concept. Whatever you're mentioning, you're just giving it as an example to support your argument. That's what your question is, right?
yes.
So that you need not worry that it will showcase you in a particular idealistic or this kind of. So as a bureaucrat or as a civil servant, you are always neutral whenever it comes. use both any side of or any kind of this one to support any argument. So you're just using it to support your argument.
So
it
basically,
doesn't
it's not
generally-
like my entire ideology is that. I'm using it to support my argument in the answer. That is absolutely acceptable.
Ma'am, which examples draws more weightage to the answer? Like political recently happened, or for example, in essay, if one asks about honesty, one could give example of betraying the honesty, from Ravana, or someone gives an example of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Which one gives more weightage? Like which one fetches our marks more?
Lesser the political, better it is.
Okay.
So any mythological.
And you know, this is also difficult to answer. We don't get to see our answer sheets. That is right. So what we have written in the answer, we don't know which particular question, how many marks we've gotten. All this is a big mystery. So what we can tell you is use examples. Better to use contemporary examples. That shows a relevant connect with the real life. If at all you're using anything else, any mythological texts, any accepted texts that are there in our country, it's also good. It shows that you're drawing reference from your historical or mythological point of view, and you're connecting it with the real life.
Again, here the focus point is not example. The focus point is
Argument.
the ethical value, whatever you're like.
The ethical value.
I
correct.
think you were talking about betrayal of trust,
Okay.
if I'm not wrong.
So there is a fear that if a person gives more realistic or
See, there are.
No such fear.
If you are using any contemporary example, it should be either legally backed by any court judgments or essay. So if it is just a theory running around, don't use it.
Just
If it is a-
anybody has
if
written
it
an
is a
editorial
mythological-
thinking like that, no.
Ramayana is accepted as a mythology, as a Hindu, this one holy text. So that is seen as a mythology. That will not be seen as a in a contemporary manner. So that you can use. That is better example.
Yeah.
Because here that's not example is not the main focus point. Here the focus point is the value or something which you are talking about.
And you had used another word, the leader's name. If something of that sort is not legally an accepted fact or something like that, an accepted theory, then it might backfire also. So use a
better not
settled fact. Use a settled fact as your reference. That's all.
Anything
So-
controversial, try to avoid.